Welcome back. Good to have you here. You can be the first person to get to do the "Can you hear me okay" game that I like to play every time I come on to Substack. Do you know, Laurie? Hi, neurodivergent hodgepodge. Um, Laura, almost your namesake, she said the same thing. I love that. I love that he came over so well. I have to say, I was quite taken by a few of your congressmen and women. Chuck Schumer, literally, I mean, I'm not a fan, especially. I'm quite neutral when it comes to Chuck Schumer, except for when he's being completely ineffective and in the APAC pocket. But he looked so delighted with himself. He was just, it was like his little face said, I am living my best life. And I was like, I'm here for that. I like seeing people happy because there's a lot of stress and angst around at the moment. How are you doing, Neuro? Are you good? Are you well? It's good to have you here. Oh, yes, I forgot. Sorry. The flag should have been a giveaway. Yeah, so he's our king. He is indeed. Chuck Schumer seeks like a Tory. What does that mean? Oh, yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good, thank you. A little bit exhausted, but I'll explain for why. I just thought I'd get on early, so that everybody can get the notification, and you've all got lives, haven't you? Chuck Schumer seems like a Tory. You mean like as in the UK Tory party, our Conservative Party? Yeah. Although, to be fair, our Tories don't seem like Tories now. They're like Reform Light. I was a Tory voter until the last election. And I'm not ashamed. I've rethought my politics, and my moral and social compass have adjusted somewhat to those that I had as a child growing up, the influences that were around me. They're kind of middle class. We want to keep what we earn and, fuck the scroungers. It took a while to shake that off. But yeah. Socially liberal, I would say now. Yeah. Yeah, actually that's a good point. Yeah. Your Democrats are very much like how the Tories were until they decided they had to compete with reform by being more racist and more prejudiced and more cruel. Hey, Laura. Laurie from Canada, Laura, was just saying that she thought Charlie did a great job today too. And I was telling her that you also said the same. So Laurie was just commenting on another Substack that the collective standing ovations and applause were a rare treat to see in Congress. It seems that when people are addressed like adults with diplomacy and courtesy, they can be positive. Oh my God. Amazing. I couldn't agree with you more, Laurie. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Neuro. The fascist drift will get us all if we're not all fighting. Yes, I am slightly obsessed with American politics, because ours is relatively quiet. Whether they're doing a good job or a bad job, they're not engaged in monumental scams and grifts, and that's how I like my government. Even when I was a Tory voter in my early 20s and we had a Labour government, I wasn't angry all the time with them. I didn't agree with all their policies at the time. That was fine. That was the government the democracy had chosen. But oh my God, it's exhausting what's going on over in the other side of the pond. Not the north side. You're all right. You've got Carney. He's doing a great job. Oh, Laura, I am so pleased because I did think you were on the funny cigarettes when you said that I needed to find that clip because Vance and Johnson looked like they were going to puke when King Charles referenced all supporting Ukraine. And after the fourth different news organization's live feed that I found and sat through and still couldn't see their fucking faces, I was like, do we need an intervention? Is there something going on with Laura? But I'm glad just for your personal validation and your sanity, I'm glad that somebody has validated you because I wasn't the friend you needed in that moment. But I was trying to get Liam fed with some toast in time for his dad to come and pick him up because being autistic, once Liam decides he needs toast, he needs toast. And I have to fulfill that. Oh my God. And I'm sitting there upstairs trying to fast forward. Right. Okay. It's not on PBS. Let's try the other one. Okay, it's not on C-SPAN. Right, let's try another one. Oh my God. Okay, Zev's Substack. Okay, cool. I believe you. I do believe you. But, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. I do not know what's going on with this audio recording thing. Every time I do it, I set it going and it says it's going and then it doesn't record anything. And so I have to start again and then it happily records the second time. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is midnight in the UK. I am Mama and the cafe is open. Welcome. Welcome, Marnie. Thank you for sneaking in when we were all chattering away about nonsense. Natasha, lovely to see you. Everybody go check out Natasha's Truth She Wrote Substack. It is so enjoyable. And some of the guests she has on are just, they're so easy. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to work hard to get something from Natasha's lives. So I thoroughly recommend it. You all know if you've been here before that I'm a fan. Yes, so we've got Neurodivergent Hodgepodge. You're with us. I'm very pleased. It's lovely to have you. We've got Laura and Laurie. We've got Natasha. And we've got, who did I say just snuck in? Oh my God. Marnie, it's lovely to have you here. And I think that's everybody so far. So before we get going, America, I know you're not all America out there. So for the ones of you who aren't America, you just sit back for a moment. America, darling, honey, sweetie, bestie, can we talk? Because you are absolutely fucking exhausting me. I can't take much more of the nonsense. I work really hard. May not seem like it, but I swear I work really hard to put together these little explainers that I do because it's easier taking a little dive into somebody than it is to try and stay on top of the news cycle because literally I would have to prepare every single episode 5 minutes before I go live because of the way the news cycle. I've sat back a bit. Miss Laurie, you'll have to tell me if that's better. Oh, my chin looks a bit blurry. I don't know what's going on. Substack drives me insane. Anyway, yes, what was I saying? So we have our discussions, our Mama's meeting every Thursday with Laura and Summer whenever they're available. So we can get the UK, US, and Canadian perspectives. But when I'm doing my little explainers, it's hard not to respond to the breaking news. So quickly, we are going to get on to the lovely Scott Bessant, and have a little look about what makes him tick. But before we do, 2 subjects I have to just briefly touch on. First, the ballroom. Very quickly, very briefly. No worries, Neuro. Oh, that's too cute. Oh, not for the little dog, but Neuro's big dog's peed on the little dog, so he's got to bath the little dog now. That's too cute. Yes, sorry, the ballroom. Right. Let's just get a few things clear. Now, I personally am not buying the whole assassination attempt. It just does not pass my sniff test. That aside, that is irrelevant. Let's assume it really did happen and it really was a psychotic gunman after the President of the United States. Let's just assume that for the purpose of this conversation. It's really got nothing to do with the ballroom. 3 reasons why it's got nothing to do with the ballroom. Number 1, the estimated completion date for the ballroom is January 2028. And I don't care what happens if I have to come over there myself. That fat fuck is vacating the White House in January 2028. So it's never going to be a thing. He's going to have to work a way out to keep him safe for the next 2 years with no ballroom because it doesn't exist. And the magic ballroom fairies are not just going to make it exist. Okay. Point 1. Point 2. When I see armor-plated 7-inch thick glass ballrooms in every school in the United States, I mean, I don't mind. Start off with any of the schools that have had mass shooter incidents. Then the synagogues, the nightclubs, when all of those are covered by a bulletproof ballroom, then I'll sign off on your presidential ballroom because from what I can see, he so far has been kept safe from all the gunmen trying to kill him. Little kids, partiers in the nightclub, I forget the name, I'm so sorry. Worshippers in the synagogue, people out fucking doing their shopping, they've not been safe. They've been dead. So when those guys get a super duper, all singing, all dancing ballroom, then I'll sign off on you having one, Mr. President, sir. And 3, so it's not safe for you to go to the Hilton Hotel with your Secret Service people. Okay. Well, then I'm ever so sorry, honey. No more golf because we know gunmen lurk around there. No more rallies because we know gunmen lurk around there. No more ball games. No more foreign visits. None of it. You stay in that White House and you don't fucking move. Okay? Good. There's the ballroom done. Next. Oh my fucking God. Please stop it. Please stop it with the ridiculous indictments. Yes, I'm sure you've all seen. I know the gang of us over there on Discord. Anybody wants the details for our Discord server, just shout and somebody will give them to you in the chat because it's a lot of fun and we just chill out over there all times of the night and day because we're all over the globe and there's always somebody in there ready to lift the rest of us up because Jesus Christ, it gets depressing. Anywho, so that's Discord. And don't worry if you're a Discord virgin and you're an IT phobe, that's me. And I'm loving it over there. I got my girls, I got my bants, and we are killing it. So please, if you would like to join our Discord server, one of my beautiful secretaries in the chat, where is Amy? But Laura's just freaking awesome. Laura will hook you up with our Discord. So just let Laura know. Yes, James Comey. So you couldn't get an indictment on your first choice of crime for James Comey. So now you're moving down to your second choice. And you've gone, I'm trying not to laugh, I'm so sorry. You've gone for a seashell arrangement on the beach. That heinous of most heinous crimes. Are you fucking messing with my brain here? Please tell me this isn't serious. Please. I mean, it looked very serious with the 3 of you bloody dumber, and oh my God, how can you be such a fucking dumbass? Can I just point a few things out? Yes, be very afraid of seashells. Everybody, not just don't just be afraid of the seashells themselves, because they can cause trouble. I mean, they're inciting the assassination of a president, for God's sake. The seashells are the problem. It's not the deep state. It's the deep sea. Anywho, they're clearly inciting people to do terrible things. You be careful. If you're playing with seashells on the sand, you better make sure that nobody takes a picture, and they could be interpreted as sedition, basically. It's not what I saw, but okay. Okay, if you like. Can I just point a few things out? Firstly, there is a really good reason why Todd Blanche stood up there and told us all about all the other cases that are similar, without any detail, but all the other cases which are very, very similar. And absolutely, this is the kind of thing we indict all the time. Seriously, that's the road you want to go down? You're always inviting people for their seashell arrangements. Oh my God. Or is it just their Instagram pictures of seashell arrangements that bother you? Make it make sense. Somebody, please. Here's referring to all those other cases where they've absolutely prosecuted people for maliciously arranging seashells and then posting photographs of them, because they have to defend themselves against allegations of vindictive and selective prosecution, because it's been permeating everything. And let's just say some people might think if you try and indict somebody on jumped up charges and you can't even get the grand jury to return a true bill, and then you come back with the seashell nonsense, maybe you're clutching. Maybe you just want this guy to suffer. Because let's be honest, they don't care whether these prosecutions work or not. The cruelty is the point with this administration, in my humble opinion. They're doing it to cause damage, to cause trauma, to cause offense, to cause upheaval, and to cost money. That's the point. You upset Big Donny, we're gonna steal your lunch money. Fucking nuts. Hey, Amy. Oh, so glad you're here. We do miss you when our administrator's not here. Unofficial, unpaid administrator, but very much loved. But Laura has been doing a beautiful, beautiful job in your stead. Oh yes, Laura, that's why they're building warehouses and prisons. It's for all the people maliciously arranging seashells. Yeah. It's a big problem. It is a big problem. But yeah, I'm going to break this to you. Some of you, I apologize, because this won't be news. But the reason you don't normally hear these like offences being discussed when a district attorney or whoever, the Attorney General of the United States, hold a press conference and tell us about charges that have been brought in a particular case. The reason you don't normally hear that is because normal, authentic, good faith prosecutions don't need defending on the very day that they are filed against later claims of vindictive or malicious prosecution, because there is no suspicion of vindictive or malicious prosecution, because we've been working up until this administration on a premise that law enforcement prosecute crimes, not people Trumpty Dumpty doesn't like. Controversial, I know, but I'm really just getting sick of it. And I just want to point one more thing out before we go. They stood there and they explained to us, I don't believe it, but that's beside the point. Hey, Chris. Welcome, come in. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I haven't told you all the sofa, milky drink and stuff, but that's because we haven't started. Look, I do a lot of work. It may not seem like I do a lot of work to prepare, but though that handwritten stuff, that's all the stuff I had to do in like the last half an hour before coming on air because, oh my fucking God. Anyway, sorry, where was I? Yes. Taking them at their word, they have spent a year of FBI, DOJ, and whatever beardy guy's department was, I forget, some prosecutor's office somewhere. I didn't care enough to even catch his job title, let alone his name. He is the beardy guy, Todd Blanche, Car Crash Patel, and the beardy guy. Each of their departments have spent the best part of a year investigating a picture of a seashell arrangement. That's what your taxpayer dollars are going towards. Are you happy? Are you happy? I'm going to let you into a little secret here, and it's a little bit of a forward planning lesson for you. You've got the World Cup coming up. I will not be watching any of the games in America because I hate your administration. I'll just come out and say it. And I'm allowed to. I don't wish them harm, but I do wish they'd fuck off. For the rest of you who will be watching soccer, or football, as we call it, I want to share with you a little chant that you are welcome to use because it's a very, very popular little chant that we use in the UK at football games when the opposition team usually, but when anybody does anything really fucking cringe-makingly stupid. And it goes a little bit like this. Are you ready? This is a chant. You can keep it. And this is exactly how I felt watching. This is not normal. This is my reaction to a press conference given by the acting attorney general, the head of the FBI, and the beardy bloke. And it went like this. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. And then you just repeat. It's really easy to learn. So yeah. No, not that one, Chris. But we just put them in the chat. Yeah. Any football chants, we love them. Who's the bastard in the black is a popular one, but then referees got wise to that, and now they start wearing different coloured shirts. But it's okay because we are smart. Soccer fans are smart, and we can symbiotically change the words. So if the referee's out there in green, we can change it to who's the dickhead in the green. Do you see? I know. Fucking smart, football fans. Anyway. That's all I've got to say at the moment on those two subjects. Who wants to learn more about Scott Bessant? Probably nobody, but you're here, so pull up your comfy chair or your beanbag, grab your milky drink, or something a bit stronger if you're feeling the way I'm feeling, but I'm not going to. A nice warm milky drink will work for me. Get comfy, wrapped up in your snuggly blanket, and we shall begin. So, 16th of September is where we'll start our story, 1992. If any of you aren't old enough to remember it, then you really shouldn't be here. This is not for you. This is not your place. But welcome anyway. Black Wednesday, the rest of us will remember quite well. I was a teenager, but yeah, it was tricky. Hey, Chris, we've only just started. We've been ranting a little bit about the ballroom and the Comey indictment. Thanks for giving us the heads up on that one earlier, Chris. Our resident artist and a brilliantly talented lady. So, Black Wednesday, 16th September 1992. That was the day the British pound collapsed. So probably more a thing for me. I don't know how it translated across the pond because we didn't have this instant exchange of information like we do nowadays. Like, the kids, they don't know what it was like in the 90s. I mean, we had to wait months to get episodes of Dallas and Dynasty, for fuck's sake. That may have been more the 80s, but still, it hurt. Anyway. 16th of September 1992, Black Wednesday, was also the day the United Kingdom was humiliated out of the European Exchange Rate Mechanism, the ERM. The government's economic credibility was completely destroyed in one afternoon. That was the day a hedge fund in London made over 1 billion with a billion dollars by betting against the British economy. You know who was in that room helping to call the shot? Well, it was a young man from Conway, South Carolina, and he was working for a firm run by a Hungarian-born liberal billionaire who you may have heard of, called George Soros. The young man? Well, his name was Scott Bessant. And today, over 30 years later, he is the 79th United States Secretary of the Treasury. He's the guy that looks after your money, Americans. Yay! Shall we see if your money's in safe hands? Well, let's. So, Scott Kenneth Homer Bessant, I shit you not, I am not making this stuff up. I could, unless my AI tools are trolling me now. It's Scott Kenneth Homer Bessant. Was born in 1962 and grew up in South Carolina. His father was a real estate developer who sadly went bankrupt. And Bessant claims that this prompted him to get his first summer job at the age of 9. He graduated from Yale in 1984 with a degree in political science. His financial career was launched when investor Jim Rogers, who was one of the founders of the Quantum Fund, hired him as an intern after meeting him at a Yale career fair. From there, he moved to Brown Brothers Harriman, then Kinnikos Associates, and then in 1991 to a firm that would define his career, Soros Fund Management. He's openly gay, married to former New York City prosecutor John Freeman, and he was confirmed as Treasury Secretary in January 2025 by a vote of 68 to 29. One of the most bipartisan margins, at least of this administration. And he was sworn in by everyone's favorite Justice, Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite, isn't it, at the moment with the Supreme Court of the United States? They're all just, with a couple of notable exceptions, they're all very, very special individuals. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, Scott is the first openly gay Treasury Secretary in US history. Yay, you go, girl. But we'll come back to that. So let's have a little chat about George Soros. Because if you spend any time in the world of right-wing American politics, or it permeates your life in any way, online, on talk radio, in the fever swamps of conservative media, you will know all about George Soros and how he's treated as the ultimate villain, the puppet master, the boogeyman. The shadowy billionaire funding every protest, every progressive cause, every plot against the American way of life. Damn him. He is, in the MAGA imagination, the great enemy. Scott Bessant, Treasury Secretary, spent nearly 25 years working for him. Oh, yes, he did. He was personally recruited by Soros. He ran Soros's London operation. He made Soros over $1 billion on Black Wednesday. The same Black Wednesday that humiliated Britain, something which probably smarts me a bit more than you. And that's okay. That's okay. We've all had our traumas. He then returned as chief investment officer. And then when he left to start his own firm, Soros gave him $2 billion with a B dollars to launch it. Nice to have friends like that. That's all I'm saying. Forbes called him a Soros protege, not an employee, a protege. The next generation, the hand-picked successor to the Soros empire. Trump's Treasury Secretary. The man managing the finances of the United States of America is a Soros man. Just going to leave that out there for any MAGA that might have strayed into the room by accident. Now, Bessant would like you to know that he's changed. He is MAGA through and through now. He's America first. He's one of them. But let's have a look at his political donation history, shall we? Because that's interesting. I'm not making any judgment. In a free country, you can donate to whoever you want. That's one of the wonderful things about being in the United States of America. So, who did Bessant contribute to over the years? Let's have a little look. Al Gore donated. Co-hosted a Hamptons fundraiser for his 2000 presidential campaign. Well, that was nice of him, but that's a long time ago. John Kerry donated. Hillary Clinton donated. Barack Obama donated, including to his 2008 presidential campaign. These are not ambiguous fringe characters. These are the central players of American liberalism over the last 2 decades. And Bessant supported them all. Oh, yes, he did. Then in 2015, he left Soros and something very interesting happened. A certain reality television star, 2015 this is, started looking like he might actually win the Republican nomination. Now, who could that be? I'll let you do your own research. A new donor class was forming around this reality TV star, one that rewarded loyalty with access, influence, and proximity to power. Bessant donated $1 million to Trump's 2017 inaugural committee. And nothing says I love you quite like $1 million. He became a Trump fundraiser, a Trump surrogate, a Trump economic advisor. Trump, to his credit, was honest. I know, but a stop clock is right twice a day. He was honest about why he liked him. He said he appreciated Bessant's, and I quote, billionaire bona fides and the fact that he converted to the MAGA movement, end quote. Converted. The president's own word. Not persuaded, not convinced, converted. Like a financial instrument finding a better rate of return. And I think that's a really good way to see Scott Bessant. 1 week. What's the significance of 1 week? That's how long it took. What? You're asking, screaming at me. 1 week after being sworn in as the custodian of the American public finances, Scott Bessant handed Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency access to the United States Treasury's payment systems. I want to be precise about what that system is exactly. It processes $6 trillion with a tr dollars in federal payments every single year. It contains the personal tax information of every American taxpayer. It's the mechanism through which Social Security payments reach pensioners, through which veterans receive their benefits, through which federal employees are paid, through which aid reaches the most vulnerable people in the country. Bessant told Congress the access was read only. Okay, because that's not terrible, but it could be worse. Read only, that's good. He told Bloomberg there was no tinkering, I quote, with the systems. Good. That's reassuring that the Elon Musk's teenagers weren't allowed to mess with basically the United States bank account. Good. Reassuring. Thanks for that, Scotty. He assured senators and the House that career civil servants remained in complete control at all times. I mean, the ones he hadn't let people sack and just unceremoniously throw aside. Those ones obviously not so much in control. Oh, I've got a hair annoying my face. Okay. Then the lawsuit started. State's Attorney General, big up the State's Attorney General. You're doing a great job. The Democratic ones, obviously. They went to court, and the documents released through those proceedings showed that the assurances Bessant had given to Congress weren't accurate. I know. I couldn't believe it myself. Senator Elizabeth Warren, yay, we love Elizabeth Warren. You go, girl. Launched a formal investigation. Bessant, shocker, didn't respond to her follow-up correspondence. I guess he was very, very busy. Yeah, Laura, bullshit, good word. Hey, Anna. Hey, welcome. Come in, sneak in. We had a little bit of a rant, and now we're looking at the lovely, the fragrant Mr. Scott Bessant. So the man who spent his career in the most discreet, security-conscious environments that global finance has to offer handed over the keys to the American public's most sensitive financial infrastructure to a man who live tweets his business beefs and runs his companies from a government office. Well, not anymore, but at the time. But don't worry. He personally vetted the Department of Government Efficiency operative involved, so I'm sure it was all fine. I mean, how much, in terms of skeletons in your closet, can the average teenager have, right? Anywho, let's move on, because there's so much more. I need to tell you about the CFPB. That is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And without understanding what it is, the next part really doesn't land. You may have heard it mentioned if you keep an eye on US politics. I certainly have, because there's been a lot of toing and froing about what to do with the CFPB. So let me tell you more. The CFPB was created in 2010 in direct response to the 2008 financial crisis, which I'm sure we all remember. It hit us all hard. That was the catastrophe that was caused by predatory mortgage lending, the subprime mortgage scandal, reckless bank behavior, and the complete absence of any meaningful oversight trying to install checks and balances on the system. It was originally proposed by our good friend Elizabeth Warren, who was then a Harvard law professor. I did not know that about her, but I am so here for that. She argued that ordinary Americans needed one agency whose entire job was to protect them from being ripped off by financial companies. Before it existed, consumer protection responsibilities were scattered across 7 different federal agencies, which in practice meant nobody was really in charge. Nobody was actually protecting the consumers. The banks knew that, though, and they acted accordingly. I know, banks exploiting loopholes. I can't believe it, I hear you all scream at me. Apparently, yeah, it happened. Yeah. Well, the CFPB changed that. And this is a beautiful story, only made more tragic when we hear what happened to the CFPB. In its operational history, the CFPB returned over 21 billion, billion with a B, dollars to Americans who'd been defrauded by financial institutions. It delivered relief to over 200 million with an M consumer accounts. It forced Bank of America to pay over 100 million with an M dollars for double dipping on fees and opening unauthorized accounts in customers' names. It made Wells Fargo pay 2 billion with a B in restitution and a 1.7 billion B again dollar fine for widespread fraud across auto loans, mortgages, and bank accounts. And that was on top of the 3 billion, another B, previously paid for creating fake accounts. It handled 50,000 consumer complaints every single week in 180 languages. I mean, what a talented staff. It was one of the most effective consumer protection agencies in American history. And then in walks Scotty. In February 2025, he appointed acting director and he issued a stop work order within days. No rulemaking, no enforcement actions, no supervision, no research published, everything frozen pending review. $21 billion worth of consumer protection paused indefinitely. But here's what didn't make the front pages. Buried in that order, quietly inserted after the initial version went out, was something very specific. And it's interesting that you mention Musk, Laura. Stay tuned. There was a carve out in the updated version. This carve out blocked the CFPB from designating non-bank financial entities for supervision. So they would be exempt. Payment apps, digital wallets, the emerging fintech sector. A rule to do exactly that had been proposed in 2023, specifically to treat large payment platforms like banks with the same regulation and the same protections. Elon Musk's Twitter, he calls it something else, I forget, it's not important, had just signed a deal at this time with Visa to launch X Money. And Bessant's amended order killed any oversight. This was a peer-to-peer payment service. The order meant X Money would face no CFPB supervision whatsoever. The American Prospect reported it, but almost nobody else picked it up. Well done, mainstream media. Another winner. The Treasury Department at this time did not respond to requests for comment. Well, there's a shocker again. Silence when accountability is required. I'm sure, though, that these two things were just coincidental. I'm sure Elon Musk's X money and Scott Bessant's sneaky sleight of hand to make sure that X money wouldn't have to be regulated and can behave in any way it sees fit. I think they happened at the same time, just organically. It was just a complete coincidence and nothing dodgy was going on there whatsoever. I can understand why you might think that, why you might think, hang on, that looks a little bit dodge. That almost looks like Scott Bessent's helping out his little friend Elon. And I get why you would think that. But we have no evidence to suggest that they were connected. Just, you know, causation not necessarily meaning correlation, although sometimes it does. But, that's where we are. I'm sure, though, thinking about it, Scott Bessent handing Doge access to the Treasury's payment systems had no particular reason to then protect Elon Musk's payment platform from regulatory oversight. I'm sure they wouldn't do that, would they? Because that would be really fucking corrupt. Yeah, yeah. Like Laura said, probably just a coinky dink. Yeah, these things happen. I know, like, massive bets being placed on Polymarket just before big military invasions happen and stuff like that. Terrible coincidences. They happen all the time everywhere, and then sometimes they don't. Want to get into the next exciting chapter of Bessant's career of catastrophe within the US government? Of course you do. You're loving it. Argentina. Anybody remember what happened with Argentina recently? Yes, of course you do, because you actually give a shit. The Exchange Stabilization Fund, which I had not heard of, is not, I stress, a general purpose treasury checkbook. This is a fund created for genuine emergencies, things like currency crises, national security situations, moments of real systemic risk to the whole banking infrastructure. It is not supposed to be a tool of political patronage. But in September 2025, Scott Bessant used it to arrange a $20 billion package for Argentina. His own description of what it was, quote, a bridge to the election. His words, not mine. That's what he said. Exactly, Chris. It's not supposed to be a slush fund. A bridge to the election. Trump, bless his little cottons, stopped clock and all that. He was even less subtle. He said publicly that the bailout was conditional on President Milei's party winning Argentina's upcoming elections. Just don't even try to hide it, do they? And there is no quiet part anymore. We said it out loud and now we just scream it from the rooftops because we can, in my opinion. Congressional Democrats wrote, because, they're good with the sternly worded letters, they wrote formally to Bessant accusing him of using emergency treasury authorities meant for financial crises as a foreign election interference mechanism. They cited his own words. They cited Trump's own words. The response from Bessant's office? Can anybody guess? Because there's a pattern forming here. Yeah. Silence. And then the operational irony, which is almost too perfect, unless, you're an American farmer, for example. That deal helped Argentina ramp up its agricultural exports to China. That would be the same China the administration claims to be in an economic war with, which directly undercut American soybean farmers who had themselves lost their Chinese buyers because of the administration's trade war and the fucking tariffs. Text messages between Bessant and Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins later surfaced, raising the question of whether they knew this was coming. $20 billion. Taxpayer money, your money, you Americans out there, used to prop up an allied president's election campaign. It harmed American farmers and it benefited the country America is supposed to be competing with. But Scott Bessant knew it would all work out all right in the end because he's smart. Don't ask me how, but he's smart. That brings me to one of the most beautiful flip-flops, backtracks, reverse ferrets of the century. I'm going to need you to stay with me on this one because it's a doozy. Short timeline first. February 2024, Scott Bessant is still a private hedge fund manager. He writes a letter to his investors, a private professional communication containing his honest assessment of policy risk as a financial advisor, an expert. He writes, and these are his exact words, folks, because you know we like to bring the receipts. Quote, tariffs are inflationary and would strengthen the dollar. Hardly a good starting point for a US industrial renaissance. The tariff gun will always be loaded and on the table, but rarely discharged. End quote. That's right, Laura. Yes, you did get lovely, expensive Argentinian beef. Well done, everybody. And fuck you, American farmers. That's not coming from me. That's just my impression of the impact of these policy decisions. So that's what Scott Bessant believed in 2024, all those years ago. Oh, no, wait, it was the year before last. And put in writing to investors. He signed that, sent it, stood by it. Fast forward to 2025, Scott Bessant's now Treasury Secretary. Yay! He stands before Congress and actually declares with his own mouth, quote, tariffs do not cause inflation. He cites, quote, 150 years of data, end quote. He invents the phrase, you're going to love this one passed me by. Oh, Natasha, why does that not surprise me? I'm so sorry. I just feel like I need to apologize all the time for the appalling behavior of white people. Sorry, that just hit me. Natasha was just pointing out that there's only white farmers that are left anymore. There's hardly any black farm owners, which it's hardly surprising, is it? I mean, just look at the environment. The odds are stacked against them, and it's just, yeah, absolutely. I will do everything I can to be an ally to fight against any kind of prejudice, but especially treating people differently because they've got more melanin in their skin. Fucking hell, listen to how that sounds. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Anywho, yes. So we've got Bessant in Congress. Tariffs do not cause inflation. I have 150 years of data, and he invented the phrase, wait for it, tariff derangement syndrome. I shit you not. He used that for anyone who disagreed with him about tariffs, not being inflationary. Or I don't know, maybe you want to tell that to 2024 Scott Bessant, because he kind of thought that they were. In Senate testimony that summer, he goes further. There is no inflation. Tariffs are not being passed on to consumers, said smiling Scott. These are positions that he does not personally hold. We know this because he wrote down what he actually thought a year prior. Fucking hell. One chicken egg farm, black owned, I know about. Oh, I would, but I'm not sure they ship to the UK. Absolutely. No, we need to do that. We need to have some kind of forum where we not publicize, but we spread awareness of small business owners, whatever shape, size, or color they are, and we support them because fucking hell, it's hard for them at the moment. We've got to look after each other. Anyway, back to Scotty. February 4th, 2026, we're at now. House Financial Services Committee, Bessant is testifying. Representative Maxine Waters of California, oh my God, we love Maxine too, yay, go girl, begins her questioning. She asks him directly, did you write a letter to investors raising concerns about the impacts of tariffs, writing that tariffs are inflationary, yes or no? End quote. I remember I watched this. She is fantastic. That woman is badass. So I'm not sure if that sounds proper in an English accent, but she is badass or badass. Either. She's both, quite frankly. His answer, Mr. Bessant, on the record in front of Congress, no. He said no. He denied it. Waters came back. Quote, we have a New York Times article that agrees you said that. His response, great. New York Times. Fucking arrogant fuck. Sorry, but we are potty mouthed here. And when I say sorry, I mean sorry, not sorry. You wouldn't be here if you weren't cool with that. Later the same day, Representative Casson, is that how you pronounce it? Casten? Casson? Not sure. I apologize to Representative Casson. Read the letter directly back to him. Quote, tariffs are inflationary and would strengthen the dollar. Do you recognize it? Casson to Bessant, sorry. Bessant, realizing at this point that denial was no longer a viable option, said, quote, you're referring to a letter I wrote. Tariffs could be inflationary. Sorry for the audio listeners who can't see my facial impression of Scott Bessant. Just think really idiotic smile and shaking his head side to side. Sorry for anybody whose natural resting bitch face is an irritating smile and shaking their head side to side. I mean, no offense, just Mr. Bessant. So, but Maxine Waters cut him off in the middle of this. Sorry, no, it was Casson. Casson cut him off. Yeah. So he starts, tariffs could be inflationary. So no, it says tariffs are inflationary. Do you want to correct the record? End quote. The Wall Street Journal subsequently confirmed the letter's existence and its contents, and it was exactly like those representatives laid it out. Meanwhile, Bessant told Waters she was, quote, confused as to the definition of inflation. You fucking shit. Fuck right off. And then when you get there, fuck off some more. Sorry, I really can't stand the man. This was hard fucking work, but my girlies, you asked for Bessant, so I'm giving you Bessant, and it's great because I knew hardly anything about him. So, brain expansion, always a winner. How fucking rude. Confused as to the definition of inflation. What, like confused as to how you work out percentages? I did a little explainer on Twitter about how to work out percentages with crayons for the hard of thinking. So imagine you've got $100. What's 100% of $100? That's right. It's the whole thing. It's $100. So 600% of that would be 6 times the $100 because 600% is 6 times 100%. So if I'm going to reduce your costs by 100% and it did cost $100, I reduce it by 100. 100 minus 100 equals 0. I'm giving it to you for free. If, however, I reduce it by 600%, I'm reducing the $100 price tag by $600. It's now minus $500, and I will give you $500 every time you buy it. Yay! Why are you all not happier with these 600% reductions in your medication? It sounds awesome. I would love me some of that. Is it because that's not actually what's happening? I'm just asking the question. I don't know. I don't know how to work out percentages in that way that Trump and Bobby Kennedy do, because that ain't fucking maths. Sorry. Where were we? Who said that? Who said, where was it? Oh, Bessant told Maxine Waters that she was confused as to the definition of inflation. Fucking rude. I really fucking hate that. Disgusting behavior. In the same instance, Bessant claimed lumber was at a 5-year low. It wasn't. Reporting confirmed that. And he blamed the housing crisis on what, folks? What are we blaming the housing crisis on? Is it skyrocketing prices? Is it the inability of the young to get on the housing ladder? Is it a corrupt system where a few people own all the properties and charge whatever they like for rents? Or is it those nasty immigrants, those black and brown people sneaking in and stealing all your houses? Yes. Apparently, it's those immigrants. Damn them. Yeah. Waters at one point, and I love this. Yes, that's right, Natasha. It was the migrants. It was the foreign people, bad foreign people. If it's not enough that they're eating your cats and dogs, now they're stealing all your houses. God damn them. Which is pretty impressive because they're probably doing that through your benefits payments that they're also stealing, but they're also stealing your jobs at the same time. So I'm sorry, it you have to have a much bigger brain than mine to be able to work out how they're doing all these things at the same time. But they really are. That's why we need to lock them up or ship them off to random countries that they've got no connection with whatsoever. Yeah, or just kill them. Either any of those options apparently are totally fine. It would seem to me, in my opinion, allegedly. So, Bessant's on his "You don't understand what's going on, little lady. The housing crisis is all down to the immigrants." And Waters turned to the committee chair and said, "Can you shut him up?" I love that. In fact, I might find that clip of Maxine Waters saying, "Can you shut him up?" and have it as, like, I don't know, my ringtone or like a living meme. We've all thought the same, Maxine. Thank you. Thank you for speaking on behalf of the entire thinking world. The chair, you'll be shocked to say, I don't know who it was. I'm sorry. I meant to look it up before, but I was too busy reacting to the Comey and the ballrooms shit. The chair did not intervene, which is, surprising for a Republican committee chair at the moment to, stop, not stop people testifying in front of Congress from lying. Apparently that's fine. The following day, because we ain't done yet, mates. In Senate testimony, he was asked about his own economic forecasts. He had promised I'll leave that on the screen so you can see that, 4% GDP growth for 2026. The actual Q4 2025 figure came in at 0.5% annualized. His response, quote, "My predictions have been bad. I also said it would strengthen the dollar and the opposite has happened." Thank you, Amy. Yes, I better kind of get my arse in gear. But I'm having so much fun. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So the opposite happened. Interesting. Like when you said tariffs are not inflationary and then tariffs are inflationary, that kind of opposite. Yeah. Okie dokie. The Supreme Court, as we know, thankfully, one of the things they've managed to do right, subsequently struck down all the IEEPA tariffs as being unlawful, which they were, which we were all screaming for the months leading up to the Supreme Court decision. I'm sorry it took them so long, but let's just hope it was because they were thorough. So around $175 billion in tariff revenue is now in litigation. Oh, sorry. Did you think I was going to say is now being paid back to American consumers? No. That ain't never going to happen. And that's not just my opinion. Bessant said he, quote, had a feeling consumers would never see the refunds. You ain't getting your money back, folks. But what you will get is higher taxes so that you can pay the companies who already profited from raising their prices against you. Okay? Yay! Tired of all the winning? I'm fucking tired of it all, mate. A feeling. This is the money guy. He had a feeling. We can't do anything stronger than a feeling, Scott, at this point when American citizens and everyone in your country at the moment is just struggling to make ends meet. We've just got to go with your feeling, which isn't a particularly promising feeling. Let's be honest. It wasn't your most optimistic feeling. $170 billion of public money has a feeling from the man running the Treasury. Yeah, lovely. So, April 2026, that's where we are now. Almost not, nearly May. Bessant announces plans to require that all banks, and you are going to love this one so bigly if you haven't already heard it. I hadn't, so I'll fess up right here. Bessant wants all banks to collect citizenship data on every customer. I'll say that one more time. I know we're running short of time, but I just want that to sink in. Bessant announced plans to require all banks collect citizenship data on every customer. I'm making no comment. I'm just bringing you the information. He told CNBC, quote, "Why can unknown foreign nationals," sorry, I have to do the smile and the silly head. "Why can unknown foreign nationals come and open a bank account? Illegal immigrants don't have a right to be in the banking system," he says. "Every other country does it." Well, for the record, there's absolutely no universal international mandate for this. That's just not true. The claim is not accurate. Currently, undocumented immigrants can legally open bank accounts using an individual taxpayer identification number, an ITIN. This means they can pay taxes, they can contribute directly to paying for ballrooms. It means they exist within the formal economy rather than being forced into the cash-only shadow economy. Policy experts have pointed out that forcing them out of the banking system would increase the unbanked population and its associated vulnerabilities, reduce tax compliance, push money into informal networks that the government cannot track, and impose enormous administrative costs on banks for absolutely no measurable security benefit. This proposal comes from a man who spent 24 years managing money across 60 countries for a firm founded by a Hungarian immigrant who came to America with essentially nothing, the American dream. I'll leave you with that irony there. Quick, brief detour to Davos because it's just funny. Switzerland, January in 2026. This just tells you everything you need to know about the man. So, California Governor Gavin Newsom, as we all remember, he was at the World Economic Forum and he was brandishing some very unique novelty knee pads bearing Donald Trump's signature. That man, he may not be the right man to be president of the United States, but geez, he is a first-class troller. He was suggesting in a kind of mocking fashion that world leaders were being far too deferent to the current United States president. Now, Scott Bessant, the United States Treasury Secretary, attending one of the world's most prestigious international economic forums, responded by declaring that Newsom had a, quote, brain the size of a walnut. And he went further. Openly gay Scott Bessant suggested that the knee pads were for Newsom's, quote, meeting with Alex Soros, a homophobic insinuation delivered by the first openly gay Treasury Secretary in US history about the son of the man who basically made him. And then he called Newsom, quote, Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken. Now, Patrick Bateman, for those not old enough to have seen American Psycho, he is a fictional serial killer obsessed with status and appearances. Sparkle Beach Ken, as we all know, is a Barbie doll. This is the diplomatic register of the person managing America's relationship with the global financial system. Just going to leave that there. Great advert for the United States, sir. So what does he actually believe? Well, we've covered an awful lot of ground tonight, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it in a kind of gonna have to go take a shower kind of a way. So let me try to pull a thread through all of it, because the question I keep coming back to with Scott Bessant is, what does he actually believe? He spent 25 years working for the man the right calls a global villain. He donated to Gore, Clinton, Kerry, Obama. Then he converted, Trump's word, to MAGA at precisely the moment when that conversion paid the most dividends. He wrote privately that tariffs were inflationary. Then he testified publicly that they weren't inflationary, under oath. He handed the Treasury payment systems over to Musk's team. He shut down the Consumer Protection Bureau in a way that specifically benefited Musk's financial platform. He used emergency Treasury funds as a foreign election tool, and through all of it, he's maintained that perfectly calibrated expression, the one that says, I am the most competent person in the room. I am always in control, and whatever I'm doing right now is exactly what I always intended to do. What I think what do I think he believes in? Hmm. Expertise for hire. That would be my assessment of Scott Bessant. The idea being that being very, very good at something, understanding markets, reading geopolitics, managing capital across 60 countries is itself a kind of moral position. That competence is somehow the same as conscience, and the skill to navigate any room is the same as knowing which rooms you really shouldn't enter. It isn't. It never has been. And then there's the thing I find really difficult to resolve. As we've mentioned, Besant is openly gay. He is married. At Yale, he was told to his face that he was not welcome in the Foreign Service because of his sexuality. He knows what it is to be excluded. He knows what it feels like when an institution looks at you, who you are, and tells you, sorry, not here. You're not welcome. He now serves in an administration that has made the systematic exclusion of LGBTQ plus people a cornerstone of its domestic agenda. Trans people removed from military service, federal protections stripped, queer students left more vulnerable, the rollback methodical and deliberate. Scott Bessant has never publicly addressed this, not once. He has not said a word about what it means to be the first openly gay Treasury Secretary in an administration that has made his community a political target. I'm not going to tell you what that silence means. I don't really know, to be honest. I can't get my head around it. But I do think it tells you something about the answer to our question. What does Scott Bessant believe in? I think Scott Bessant believes in Scott Bessant. And I think for him, that's always been enough. So the philosopher Albert Camus wrote that integrity has no need of rules. What he meant was that a person of genuine principle, of genuine moral character, doesn't need an external structure to tell them what to do. They already know. It's intuitive. The knowledge is internal, constant, immune to whoever is signing the checks. Scott Bessant is, and I have to say it because it's true, one of the most technically accomplished people ever to hold his office. He could do so much good. Nobody questions his credentials. The market intelligence, the macro analysis, the ability to read a room and a currency at the same time, it's real and it's formidable. But integrity has no need of rules. And what we've seen tonight is a man who has let every rule be written by whoever holds the power. That's not corruption exactly. In some ways, it's even more corrosive than corruption because it wears the face of competence. It speaks the language of reason. It sits in the room and it looks like an adult and it hollows out everything from the inside. And that, my loves, is where I will leave the analysis. I think that's given us more than enough to digest. I recommend Pepto-Bismol for those of you who are now suffering severe indigestion, like I am. But other indigestion brands are available. I am not sponsored by Pepto-Bismol, but hey, you know, if you're watching. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for listening, for caring enough about this stuff to spend your evenings with me. It means everything to me. I love doing it and I love that some of you enjoy it too, genuinely. So we're at that point. If prayer is not your thing, it is absolutely fine. I send you on your way with nothing but love. Rest well. Look after yourselves, look after each other, and I will see you here next time. Before you go, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. please like, share, do all the things. If you liked the show, tell a friend, tell a stranger, tell your postman. I don't care. If you didn't like it, then tell an enemy. I'm not proud. Just spread the word. So, as per usual, all the notes for tonight, the receipts, the sources, the full references will be available on Substack for my paid subscribers, because you've got to give them a little bit of something. The link will be in the description. Right, for those of you still with me, welcome to my favorite part of the evening, where we just take it down a moment and we just try to reconnect. We don't need a bottle, honey, Laura, precious. We're going to connect with our higher powers, our spiritual guides, the universe, the quiet, whatever it is that you connect with in these quiet moments. And when you're ready, we'll close with a prayer from Psalms in the Bible, the actual Bible, the one that I've actually read. Not cover to cover, because that wasn't never the point of the Bible. But I digress. Psalm 82. God presides in the great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. How long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to the wicked? Defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. The wicked do not know. They do not understand. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods. You are all sons of the Most High. But you will die like mere mortals. You will fall like every other ruler. Rise up, O God. Judge the earth. For all the nations are your inheritance. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for all being here. That's it for another night. We've got a few minutes for everybody to go and do their necessaries before Glenn Kirshner starts on his Substack channel, a wonderful live, and I encourage you all to join if you haven't already. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, yes. Yes, I will put a note on my Substack. Thank you, Secretary Amy, to get your votes in for who goes into the totally fictional. I threw it earlier. Mount Mama, our resident volcano, which we throw badly behaving people into to keep society safe from. 1, they're not real people. 2, this is not a real volcano. And 3, if they redeem themselves, they can pop back out again. All right, that clear? I'll pop a note up. So you can vote. You can decide who this week and why this week have they been particularly naughty. Scott Blanche. Anyway, good night, Laurie. Good night, all of you. I'm afraid for another night. The cafe is now closed. As soon as I can get the little thing to click. But you can all go. I'm just going to sit here and click end for about 20 minutes and hope. And in the end, I'll just get fed up and I'll cancel the whole screen and smash up the computer. Anyway, night night.